Jim in Salisbury, North Carolina, you are on the air with Congressman Mark Pocan.
My call. Congressman, my question has to do with the Patriot Act. It's my understanding that you and your co-chair and several members of the Progressive Caucus voted for the Patriot Act. What was that about?
Yeah, Jim, thanks for asking that question, because there's a couple groups that unfortunately got to get their work a little better and sharper in Washington if they're going to impact the Patriot Act than they're doing right now, because they don't show a lot of knowledge about the process. And what happened is the Patriot Act had a 3-month extension under the continuing resolution to keep government open until December 21st, I believe it is, 20th or 21st, along with the pay increase for military and a bunch of other things that happened in this short-term extension so that we didn't have another government shutdown. And we have been working both on the Judiciary Committee and the very morning of that vote with the Intelligence Committee on having some major changes made to the Patriot Act as it moves forward, not allowing them to keep all the data they collect and a lot of other things that we're trying to get done. That strategically is where all the groups have been trying to get these things done, but unfortunately they said vote against this. Well, we weren't going to close down government. That would be silly for a simple 3-month extension. And should we do that because of the process that we're in right now? This would have been written by the Senate for a long-term extension in the exact same form it is, and none of us want to see the Patriot Act in that form. So, Jim, I'm really glad you asked, because there's a number of groups, including one that I've been a longtime paid member of, the ACLU, and Demand Progress, that are just wrong. They don't really understand the process. They should have called us ahead of time, and we could have explained it. We actually did reach out and explain it to them. But I think if that's the strategic thinking that's behind this, I'm a little worried where our partners are going to be in helping us get the real changes that we want to enact, so that the Patriot Act doesn't look like the Patriot Act anymore. This was just the FISA provisions of the Patriot Act. So it wasn't the entire Patriot Act. There's just a lot of misinformation out there. And, Jim, I really appreciate that question.
That's remarkable, because I got that press release from one of those groups, and I went on the air and said, call your congressman and tell him to vote no on the Patriot Act renewal. And wow, now I understand. Thank you. Jill in Manila, Indiana, you are on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Congressman Pocan. Thank you for all that you do. I have a question. I'm from Indiana, and I am a Democrat. Have no representation. I have nothing but Republicans who are representing me in the state. And I wanted to know which is the best way to get a hold of them, like through an email or by phone calls, because I feel like when you call them and you give negative feedback, that they don't really get those messages. So maybe a well-constructed email to show our disgust in the way that they're acting might be a better thing, and how often to do that. Thanks.
Yeah, Jill, those are awesome questions, and thank you, because you're being strategic about how to get your advocacy done. The single best thing, without question, is face-to-face. If you can go to a town hall or set up a meeting with your member of Congress, be at an event they're at. They're seeing you, they're looking you in the eye, and you can actually have a real conversation. Second best would be a personal email or letter, although to be perfectly honest, letters sent to Washington get held up about 3 weeks because they have to be screened for rice and other toxins. So a good personal email, not a mass email, but a personal email telling your story is great, because it gets right into the office and we keep track of every single contact. The phone is easy, right? Sometimes if you want to get a call in real quickly, the problem is generally that's being answered by an intern in an office, and it's a very short note about what the call's about, so you're not going to be able to put as rich of information in that. And then the lowest form is always the mass postcard that maybe you signed, and that's about it. We know how much effort put into that. So those are the order of ways to contact your office, and thanks for asking.